Hello, and welcome to this space of reflection and hope. What a blessing to have you here, sharing this time to talk about the promises God has for us. On this channel, we focus on biblical teachings that guide us to live a fuller life aligned with God's purpose for each of us. Today, I want to share with you one of the most beautiful and hope-filled promises in the Bible, a promise that can change your perspective on life and fill you with faith. Stay with me and open your heart, because what we're going to talk about today has the power to transform your life. The Bible is filled with promises that God has made to each of us. Promises of peace, prosperity, and above all, a future filled with hope. But did you know these promises are not just comforting words? They are realities that God has established for you and me. The purpose of these promises is not only to give us comfort during difficult times, but also to invite us to trust in the plan God has for our lives. Perhaps you've heard many of these promises during tough moments, and you may have wondered if they will truly come to pass. Today, I want to talk about one promise in particular, found in Jeremiah 29 verse 11, a promise so powerful that it can renew your hope and strengthen your faith. The promise says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a future and a hope." When we read this verse, we can feel a deep sense of peace because it reminds us that we are not alone in life. No matter how confusing or difficult our circumstances may seem, God has a plan for us, and that plan is good. He doesn't leave us adrift or abandon us. He knows exactly what we need, what we will face, and what we need to learn in every stage of life. This verse also reveals that God doesn't just see who we are now, but who we can become. God has a much broader vision of our lives than we could ever have. He sees beyond our current struggles and has a future full of hope and purpose waiting for us. If you're going through a tough time or feeling lost right now, I want you to remember, God already sees the end of your story, and that ending is filled with hope. God's plans for our lives are plans to prosper us, not to harm us. This means that God doesn't want us to suffer unnecessarily. He didn't create us to live in failure or defeat. Every difficulty we face has a purpose, and although we don't always understand why, we can trust that God is using those experiences to make us stronger, wiser, and closer to Him. It's important to understand that God's prosperity doesn't always mean comfort. Sometimes, God's plans include moments of testing and challenge, but even in those moments, His plan is for our good. He wants us to grow, to learn to depend fully on Him, and to become the best version of ourselves. God has a plan for your life, but there's an important difference between what's a possibility and what becomes a reality. While God has the best plans for you, those plans won't materialize just because we wish for them or because someone prophesies them over us. God's promises are like seeds. They need to be planted, watered, and nurtured to grow and bear fruit. It's essential to understand that God's promises also depend on our obedience. While God has a perfect plan for us, our part is to collaborate with Him. Our faith and obedience allow that plan to come to life. God will not do anything in our lives without our cooperation. He gives us the freedom to choose to walk in His will or to turn away from it. How can we participate in God's plan? The key is daily cooperation with Him. Here are some ways you can collaborate with God to see His plan fulfilled in your life. Learning and growing every day. The Christian life is a constant process of growth. Each day is an opportunity to learn more about God, His will, and how we can live according to His principles. Each day is a chance to draw closer to Him and grow in our faith. Developing your talents. God has given each of us unique talents, abilities, and resources. Your task is to discover those gifts and use them for His glory. You can't expect God to develop your potential for you. You're responsible for growing and improving what He has given you. Persevering. On the path to fulfilling God's plans, there will be obstacles and challenging moments. Perseverance is key. God doesn't expect you to be perfect, but He does expect you to be faithful in your efforts. The key is to not give up, to keep moving forward, and to trust that He is working in you, even when you can't see it. Today, I want to encourage you to take God's plan for your life seriously. Maybe you feel uncertain or filled with doubt right now, but I want you to know that God has something incredible in store for you. The best is yet to come. God's plans for you are good, plans for success, transformation, and fulfillment. But those plans won't happen without your active participation. So, what will you do today to cooperate with God? What steps will you take to move forward in fulfilling His purpose for your life? I encourage you to take that first step, draw near to Him in prayer, asking for clarity and direction. Thank you for staying with me until the end of this video. If this message touched your heart, please subscribe to the channel and share this video with someone who might need to hear these words. Remember, God has an extraordinary plan for you. Don't stop seeking Him with all your heart. Each day is an opportunity to draw closer to His purpose. May God bless you abundantly.